Hello, I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOLS. Welcome to the Accountants Minute podcast series. And in this commentary, I wish to comment on preparing SMEs for the challenges of 2025. And there are certainly a lot of challenges, aren't there? We have high interest rates, high inflation, high levels of business failure, uncertainty in the marketplace. And there seems to be a feeling at large that the federal government is not particularly interested in SMEs or even business in general. They're employing a lot more people. There's a lot more bureaucracy looking over the shoulder of business operations. Is that all needed? I don't know. But I don't think the level of intensity of some of these programs needs to be directed at SMEs the way it is. This country is a free enterprise country, and that is what is going to keep us strong and keep us powerful in the future. So we seem to have a lot of problems at present that are outside the control of our SME clients. We might all think about it. We might even wake up in the wee hours of the morning thinking about some of these issues. But there's not much that we can do. But there is a lot that we can do to help our clients meet the challenges of financial and commercial matters. Now, most of the audience that listens to this podcast are probably accountants, bookkeepers, or business advisors. So thanks for listening. But it's important to understand that SMEs require more assistance than just the preparation of an annual set of accounts and an income tax return. If you honestly analyse the annual set of accounts and the income tax return, I think you'll agree with me that that series of documents doesn't help your clients run their businesses. It doesn't help them know that there was a problem last week because the gross profit percentage dropped from the anticipated percentage of 39% to 23%. And no one did anything about it. Why didn't they do anything about it? Because the systems did not tell them that that problem had emerged. And it's the need for regular information being delivered to the leadership team, and then the analysis of that information. That's the important gap in the supply of services to SMEs. And I cannot think of any other group other than accountants and bookkeepers to be able to supply those services to SME clients. And they need them. During my career, I was the Chief Financial Officer and Company Secretary of a listed public company. And I learned at first hand just how the big end of town run their businesses. I think they run them as a series of small businesses. And they put in charge an area manager. And with that area manager, they normally supply an area accountant or a very skilled office manager type person who can work to the systems manual. And then there's some other clerical people. Now, the concept is that in that area involvement, that there will be daily, weekly, monthly management reports being prepared for the benefit of the area manager, but also the subordinate managers of the various operations. And information will also be passed down to the head office, which will be collating the performance reports. And the chief executive officer will undoubtedly be on the telephone communicating with the area managers about any perceived problem operations. How are we going to fix this problem? Now, please just think about that for a moment. The industry that I was involved in was the meat industry. We had some very large meatworks situated in the eastern states of Australia. And we had a chain of retail butcher shops, some small goods factories, cold stores, owning room facilities, and hide stores. So they were all separate business units, and each one of them had a separate profit and loss account prepared within the area that they were located in. So that the area manager normally had a meatworks as part of his responsibility, and had some retail shops, maybe 20, 30 retail shops, small goods factory, owning room, and coal stores. And each of them, there was a profit and loss account prepared, but there was also, first of all, a weekly estimate of profitability, a weekly performance report. And that was available by Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning each week, so that the area manager was able to sit down and talk to the manager of that meatworks or butcher shop or small goods factory and analyse their performance. And with the estimate of financial performance of the week, there was key performance indicators and other business metrics, which were very important because the area manager and the managers understood a lot about those key performance indicators. They knew what the gross profit percentage should be. They knew what the average sale price should be. They knew what the labour to turnover percentage was expected to be. They had far more intimate knowledge of the KPIs than what they really did of a profit and loss account. But the profit and loss account was instrumental into producing the financial data to be analysed. And then all of this information used to get transferred from 13 locations around Australia, where there was 13 area managers, into the head office for analysis and a report to the CEO by lunchtime on a Wednesday. And the CEO was primarily interested. In fact, he'd say to me, "Hey, Pete, who never met our expectations?" And I already had that list prepared, of course. So out of hundreds of businesses, we might have half a dozen that didn't meet their targets that week. So I'd give that to him, and that's what he would concentrate on, because I'd assured him the others met their budget targets. And he would then be on the telephone Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, talking to the area manager, who would have already got some feedback from the manager. Now, the key objective was to find out what went wrong. What caused the gross profit percentage not to be 38% or 39%, but it was only 22%? Was it human error? Was it something outside our control? Or did someone make a mistake? The key was to find the answer to those questions, not to push them under the carpet, not to go out and chop someone's head off, not to have a witch hunt, but to fix the problem, to make sure it didn't occur again next week and the week after. And that the first time we knew about it was 3 or 4 months after the end of the financial year, when we were finalising the annual accounts. In fact, it was 3 months after, because we were a listed public company. We had to report to the stock exchange. Now, compare that process to what is happening in your SME clients. Some of them are running more than one business. Not many of them have got an employed full-time accountant. But they need information. And if they're not producing it internally themselves, what's their guidance throughout the year? A problem may have occurred yesterday in their operations, but unless it's identified, analysed and fixed, that problem could well continue on for the rest of the year. Pardon me. And this problem could really present real financial problems to that business. And that's what the whole aspect of the services that ESS BIZTOOLS are promoting. For you to be able to supply a financial and commercial advisory service, to assist your client to be aware that something went wrong this week and to find out what it was and fix it there and then, so it doesn't continue to occur throughout the remainder of the financial year, which could be 50 weeks if it happened in the second week of the financial year. And no one really noticed anything because there was no analysis of information. So that's what this whole process is all about. So in this week's Accountant's Minute, we have looked at the fiscal management gap, and there is a fiscal management gap in a lot of businesses because of a lack of understanding of debtors and the need to have an analysis of debtors. And there the key terminology is the debtors' days outstanding figure. What is it? And have people assumed that it will always be 30? That would be wonderful. But we all know it's a lot more than 30 in most cases on a 30-day account basis. Our clients need to realise that they don't have to offer credit to every person that walks in the door and asks for a credit account. The MYOB survey indicated that some of the SMEs, and they interviewed 1,000 SMEs, indicated that they thought they had to offer credit to any customer. That's not true. They had to have a debtors system. And that should have included a credit application form to be completed by the would-be credit customer so that there can be some checks to ensure that they're legitimate. They're not someone else's problem that your client's obtaining. So debtors was the first key issue that was identified in the MYOB survey. The second area of concern was to do with suppliers. Apparently, some of these firms that were interviewed were starting up, knew where they had to get their supplies from, went ahead and opened accounts, and then got a rude shock when they were told they had to pay cash on order or cash on delivery. They'd assumed they would be automatically granted 30-day payment terms. And to compound that problem, in their cash flow forecast, they had budgeted for that they didn't have to pay until 30 days after the end of the month. So we need to encourage our clients who are starting off a business, those who may be contemplating switching suppliers for some reason. Make sure you've negotiated with the supplier first and make sure that whatever those payment terms are factored into the cash flow forecast so that you've got a realistic understanding of what the position's going to be. The next problem that MYOB identified was that even though there was an understanding that taxation commitments had to get paid during the year, because they're covering things like the net GST amount, they're covering tax deducted from employees' wages, they're covering the superannuation payments for employees. These payments have to be made, normally every 3 months. And because they had problems caused in their debtors, because the debtors' days outstanding definitely exceeded 30 days, they factored in that they would be paid strictly on a 30-day basis. That was not correct. And the other big problem they had was on their suppliers. They'd assumed that they would be given 30-day terms. In fact, some of them had found that they were cash on order or cash with delivery, which caused a significant problem in their available funding in their business. So all this comes back to being realistic in planning, and hopefully you can get the message across to your clients, especially people starting off business for the first time. They really need your accounting advice. If they can't afford that, I think you should be suggesting to them they need to reconsider going into business, because employing an accountant able to supply them financial, commercial advisory services in addition to the preparation of the taxation return, I think is a fundamental requirement of businesses in 2025 if they are going to survive. What I suggest that you as an accountant or a bookkeeper or a business advisor should do is to communicate these types of strategies to your clients, that you can help them, but you need to implement the 52-week of the year business system, which is basically the phraseology we've chosen for a system which has daily reports, weekly reports and profitability estimates, and monthly financial accounts, coupled with a business plan, a predictive accounting report, which is budgets, cash flow forecasts, and projected balance sheets, and variation reports prepared each month. That's a proper accounting system that I think you should be saying to your clients, if you want to retain our firm to be your accountants, we would love to be your accountants, but these are the conditions, and this is what it's going to cost, so that they factor that in and make sure they got the money. Because businesses need accounting advice all the time throughout the year, not just some months after the end of a financial year when they sit down and have, in effect, an annual meeting with their accountant to go through their income tax return. The income tax return is a byproduct to this overall process. What is more important is helping the client to thrive and survive the challenges that 2025 are presenting. If you've got any comments you'd like to make to me, feedback you'd like to give to me about anything that we've talked about, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. Stay safe. Have a great day. Goodbye.